Chapter 1. The Cabin in the Woods. 8-year-old Valera shuddered with fear at the howl outside their cabin. She stopped poking up the fire and looked away from the fireplace to the kitchen on the other side of their little one-room house. Mama Arya was still kneading the dough for next day's bread. Across from her, a little blonde girl just a year older than Valera was lifting a heavy bucket of milk up on the table. It took her quite a bit of effort, but she managed. Valera watched as her sister then poured some of the milk into a smaller pail, taking great care not to spill a single drop. She was certainly more careful than Valera had been milking the cow. But Valera tried not to think about the splash of milk on the floor of the little barn. She had covered it up with a handful of hay, so there was no reason to worry about that anymore. Unlike the storm that raged in the pitch-black night outside, it sounded even fiercer than when she had hurried back with the milk. The wind slammed against the cabin as if trying to push it over. It rattled the shutters, even though Valera had taken great care to bolt them firmly. And it blew through the chimney and pestered the fire that Valera had been trying hard for the past 15 minutes to get nice and roaring. There was something else that worried her even more. While she watched her older sister fill the milk pail, Valera thought once again that the howling outside couldn't just be the wind. It had to be a monster. A terrible beast that had crawled out of the deep, dark forest and was now prowling around their cabin. No doubt it took advantage of the storm. Even a stupid monster would understand that this stormy night was the perfect time to force its way into a lonely little house. They could not go outside and flee in this terrible weather, as they would soon slip in the dark forest and break their neck rolling downhill. And the house was too far away from the village for anyone to hear them scream for help, especially in this weather. No help would come for them. So few people ever came by Mama Arya's cabin that it might be weeks before they even found out that she and her 2 little adopted girls had not made it through the storm. That a monster had made its way inside and devoured them all, painting the walls red with their blood. Valera turned back to the fire and pulled up her knees, imagining the scene vividly. Behind her in the kitchen, Amaryllis spilled some of the milk. "Valera, stop it," she thought to her little sister. Valera gave a start. Not because it was unusual for her to hear Amaryllis talking in her mind. The 2 girls had been able to communicate with each other using just their thoughts for as long as they could remember. They often shared things this way, from images to sounds to feelings, even the taste of strawberries and sweet honey fresh from the beehive, or the smell of a flower they liked. This was as natural to them as talking out loud to one another. Valera had only given a start because she'd been picturing the monster, standing on its hairy hind legs, pressing its monstrous face against the shutters, its glowing red eye peering through the cracks. She hadn't intentionally shared these thoughts with Amaryllis, but now realized that her sister must have been listening in and had gotten scared. She always scared more easily. Valera looked over her shoulder and saw Amaryllis grab a kitchen towel to clean up the milk. Both of them hoped that Mama Arya hadn't noticed anything. They could be in quite a bit of trouble if she had. Ever since they were little girls, Mama Arya had been like a mother to them. However, she was not able to listen in on other people's thoughts or communicate in this way. The girls had found this out long ago, and they were absolutely certain of it. Because if Mama Arya had been able to read their minds and see the little secrets they kept from her, well, they would have been in a lot more trouble. A lot more often, especially Valera. Had Mama Arya been able to see Valera imagining the monster just now, as Amaryllis had, she would have put a stop to it at once. She did not approve of fanciful thinking, nor did she approve of little girls doing anything so unusual as talking to each other in their thoughts. She was still busy kneading the dough, giving it a thorough working over, occasionally slamming it down on the kitchen table, but she was quite alert. The suspicious look on her face said she had noticed Amaryllis suddenly spilling the milk, which the girl normally never did. Possibly she had also seen Valera give a start, as if she'd seen or heard something, even though nothing had been said. To avoid further suspicion, the girls quickly went on with what they were doing. The last thing they wanted now was to rouse Mama Arya's temper. Tonight they had to be on their best behavior. End of Chapter 1, Episode 1, Daughters of Kings. Ictiluni, Saga of the Two Lost Princesses is a serial written by Bjorn J.P. Peeters. Get the complete first episode of Ictiluni, Saga of the Two Lost Princesses on Amazon, Apple, Kobo, Barnes & Noble, Google Play, Spotify, or any of the other stores. Episodes are just $1 a piece and available as either ebook or audiobook. Thanks for listening, and have a wonderful day.